Did you ever notice anything unusual about Ms. Heard during the time that you were living next door to her at the Eastern Columbia building?
Besides having great teeth, no.
At some point in time, did you begin pursuing art on a full-time scale?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, I was working at the Viper Room, taking classes, and then at one point, the club changed hands completely after a year, 2004. And I was given a choice of either keep working for these new owners or Johnny out of his pocket was going to give a severance pay to whoever didn't want to work there anymore. So I took the severance pay, and then it helped me continue on to finish community classes, private classes, and then be able to transfer to Cal State University.
And did you get a degree from Cal State University?
Yes, I did.
What degree was that?
BFA.
What year?
2010.
After you received your BFA, did you continue to pursue art full-time?
Yeah.
Did Mr. Depp ever express an interest in your art?
Yeah.
When was the first time that happened?
Well, first time he saw a painting in 2008. And then the next time was 2012. I had made a painting and sent it to my best friend, in an email, and he forwarded it to Johnny, and Johnny emailed back saying, hey, when Isaac wants to sell that, whenever he wants to sell that, to go ahead and get in touch with me because I want to buy it.
Did Mr. Depp ever buy that painting?
No.
Why not?
Because when I brought over paintings, I had moved back to California, and I brought over a bunch of paintings for him to look at and see if he wants any, to buy any. And he looked at me and says, I got an idea. How about I be a patron, and we put together an art show, make a body of work, and then I'll throw a party and invite people, and I'll sell the stuff for you, and you could keep all the money. So he didn't buy any paintings there. Instead, he offered me a complete patronship.
So what did you understand he meant by becoming your patron?
Well, it was going to financially make it possible for me to just paint every day and put together a body of work, so that way then it could be sold.
How did he plan to do that?
Objection to what he planned on doing.
What did you understand he planned to do to make that possible for you?
I could tell you that what it included was that the next day I ended up moving into I moved into a art studio penthouse at the Eastern Columbia building. It was, listen, I got a place for you to go ahead and live and work and put this body of art together, and I'll take care of you. You don't have to worry about anything.
And what was the place where you were going to live that Mr. Depp offered you?
The Eastern Columbia building.
Did you take him up on that offer to live at the Eastern Columbia building?
Yeah, of course.
And how did that make you feel?
I started crying. One day you're in your mother's garage selling paintings for $100, $200, $300 on eBay. Next thing you know, it's an art show, and you don't have to worry about diddly squat. Of course. I was flipping out.
When did you move into the Eastern Columbia building?
The next day after we met and we talked. The next day, I get a phone call from a guy named Kevin Murphy, who is working for Johnny, and I go and he says, hey, meet me at this address. And I go and I meet him, and here I am in front of this building. This is a beautiful building. This is it's 13 floors, but it's from the 1930s, some Art Deco beautiful building. And I'm looking, I'll go, all right, this is unreal. What, there's gonna be, all right, it's gonna be one of these apartments or whatever, one of these places here. I go in with Kevin Murphy. He takes me all the way up to the roof. We go into penthouse 2, and I walk in and I'm like crying, going, it's beautiful. This is like a mansion situation to me.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about your relationships with Ms. Heard, Ms. Pennington, Mr. Drew, and Ms. Heard, sister?
Oh yeah, I was friends with all of them. I loved them all. They all treated me with respect. It was great. I'm an old-time friend of Johnny's, living there, and we were looking out for each other. We became great friends. I fell in love with all of them.
When you moved in to Penthouse 2, you were working on an art show with Mr. Depp, right?
Yeah, that's the entire reason that I'm there, is to work and put together this art show.
Did you have a time frame that you expected to be able to put on that art show?
At first, when we first powwowed this idea, when we talked about, all right, what do we do? What's this show going to be? How many paintings is it going to be? And we came up with a number. Okay, so there's going to be a certain body of work. I'm not a known person. I'm just some schnook painter. If I was a famous painter, I could make 5 paintings, and the room will fill up. But so we decided, okay, like 25 pieces of work, large scale, and Johnny says, hey, how long you think it'll take? I said, I've never done it before. I don't know, maybe a few months.
And were you able to complete the paintings in a few months?
No, it took me in order to make 2 large scale paintings. It took me like almost 2 months. And I'm start freaking out, going, I'm only got 2 paintings, and all right, I got to do 25. I said a few months. So I ended up going to Johnny's place and saying, hey, look, dude, this is going to take a lot longer than a few months. I could only make 2 paintings.
And how did Mr. Depp react?
He looks at me and he starts laughing and he says, Ike, don't worry, I do not care. I just want you to paint however long it takes. I want you to paint every day.
During the course of the time that you were living at the Eastern Columbia building, did Mr. Depp ever give you any money?
Yeah.
How much did he give you?
Over a period of 4 years of the patronship, I ballpark calculated probably around 100,000.
And how did you come up with that amount?
Well, from the first get-go, when I said, hey, look, I need dough, to buy stuff and to, do this, I ended up getting an envelope the next day with $5,000 in it. And then I budgeted it and stretched it out, and so every few months I'd get an envelope. It could have been that I didn't know if it was going to be the same amount, but it ended up being the same amount, which was, wow. So basically around $5,000 every few months. So in a year, it's 20 grand. But then also there was maybe a year or two, might have been that it was 5 times I had to ask for dough, or it was 4. And then on top of it, so right there, could be 80 grand or 90 grand. And then on top of that, I ended up getting a herniated disc. He sent me to the doctors to get an MRI and see the doctor, get an MRI, and there was 10 weeks of therapy that he covered. So I throw that in there too, and I ended up coming up with the figure of 100 grand. Could be a little less, could be a little more.
What was your understanding of whether Mr. Depp intended to be paid back for that money that he provided to you?
There's no, that's not even the thought of being paid back. This is something that he wanted to see happen. This is something he invested in. He knew he was going to spend money to make it happen, for me to survive and paint and create this thing that he wanted to see because he liked the art. And so there was no payback, and the whole thing was about him selling the art, so that way I keep all the money. He didn't expect anything. He was doing this as a friend, as he's done with many other friends.
Mr. Baruch, during your time living at the Eastern Columbia building, did you develop a relationship with the defendant in this case, Ms. Heard?
Yeah.
And did you get along with Ms. Heard?
I loved her. I fell in love with her just like Johnny fell in love with her. I fell in love with her. She's totally respectful, gracious to me, that she's got great teeth, that she treated me with complete respect. Anytime I walk into the humor-wise, total locker room humor, demented humor, totally laughed at, the jokes, made the jokes, totally got along with her. Every time I walked into their place, Isaac, you want something to eat? Isaac, you want something to drink? Every time. There's only one time I remember that she didn't offer, because I walked in and she's in the kitchen at the counter and she's doing a beauty facial mask, and so she can't offer me. And I'm going, hey, is that something that can help me? And she looked at me and she goes, no. And I'm laughing, and then she laughed after because she didn't realize she was making a joke. So, yeah, I loved her.
Mr. Baruch, did Ms. Heard ever visit you in your penthouse?
Yeah.
Do you recall the first time that she visited you there?
Yes.
When was that?
The first time is that it's in March when they moved in, and they were there for a couple of days, and I didn't even know. And Johnny had called me, says, hey, come over, meet my girl, and so I did, and then the next day, they came over to my place for the first time to see how I had set up the art studio, lights, and, just what's my painting set up and stuff, and to look at other paintings. And they walked in, and I remember the first thing she said was, I hope we didn't keep you up last night because of all the yelling. And I looked at her and says, no, these walls are like 3 feet thick. I don't hear diddly squat.
How did she seem when she said that to you?
Well, she's semi-joking and inquisitive, like they did, to find out.
In your 3.5 years living at the Eastern Columbia building, did you have opportunities to observe Mr. Depp's and Ms. Heard's relationship?
Yeah.
Can you describe what you observed about their relationship?
They were always loving with each other. They treated each other like gold, kissing and what can I get you type of thing, being kind with each other. Always loving, always a loving situation.
How often would you say you interacted with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard?
If they were there, because they're traveling, they're working and doing stuff. If they were there, I saw them maybe 2-3 times a week. Maybe there might be one time a week that I see them, that I go over to hang out or, see them. Or they might come, or Johnny might come over to visit, or, like that.
Since you've known them, did you ever see them get physically violent with each other?
Never.
Did you ever see them argue?
Yes.
How many times?
Probably like twice.
Okay. Can you describe the arguments that you witnessed?
The first argument that I remember was walking in. It was a telephone argument. Johnny's at the kitchen table and he's he's screaming about something, and on the other line, because it's on speaker, and he's talking with the phone, at the phone, the other person is Amber, and that she's in New York, and he's at the kitchen table, and they're arguing, and he's going, who is it? Who is it? And she's saying, oh, baby, come on, please don't. What are you doing, baby? Why are you being like this, baby? And this went on for a little while, and I'm listening, and then he hangs up. She calls back again, and it's the same thing. Who is it? What's going on? Who is it? And she's saying, oh, come on, baby, don't be, what are you doing, baby? And then hang up the phone again. The third time it happens, I'm saying there's no solution in this conversation. I grabbed the phone from him and I says, hey, Amber, this is Isaac. Listen, this conversation is now over. And I hung up the phone. And she didn't call back again, and he went to the couch and went to bed.
Mr. Baruch, do you know who Elon Musk is?
Sure.
Have you ever seen Mr. Musk in person?
Yeah.
Where did you see him in person?
First time was I'm getting into the elevator on the rooftop, penthouse level. I'm going into the elevator, and he's coming out of the elevator, going past me.
And when did that take place?
This is after May. This is sometime June, it could be July, but after May.
In that same year, 2016?
Yeah.
And when was the second time that you saw Mr. Musk?
One morning waking up and going and opening up the shades to the bedroom, and it's on the second floor, and it overlooks the balconies, our adjoining balconies, because my balcony joins with John and Amber's balcony, and that opening up the shades, I see Elon Musk going through the balcony door on their side to then walk down a common corridor that then at the end leads to a door that you walk out to the rest of the rooftop. And you go to the pool, you go to the gym and stuff. So I'm looking out, and the view out the window is of both of our balconies. So that's where I saw him.
And when was that?
Oh, sometimes it's either June, July, but it's after May.
Mr. Baruch, how long have you known Mr. Depp?
Met him, I believe, in 1980.
Mr. Baruch, did you have any interactions with the staff of the Eastern Columbia building about Ms. Heard's allegations against Mr. Depp?
Yes.
And at some point, did you see a security video taken in the Eastern Columbia building?
Yes.
When was that?
Sometime in June, maybe 2 weeks in or something like that. It's 2-3 weeks in.
Can you describe what you saw in that video?
Yes, I can. It was a video of Amber and Whitney waiting at the elevator, a mezzanine level, coming from the garage, obviously, and waiting for the elevator. And Whitney does this to Amber. Pow! And hits her, like hitting her in the face. Going, pow! And then they start laughing.
Did Ms. Heard react at all in that video to the fake punch that you observed Whitney throw?
Yeah, she's laughing. After doing it, they both, laughing at with each other.
Mr. Baruch, how long have you known Mr. Depp?
Met him, I believe, in 1980, and what's 42 years? Well, it's going to be 42 years.
Have you ever seen Mr. Depp be violent when angry with Ms. Heard?
Objection leading.
I'll allow the question, okay?
I'm allowed to answer?
Yes.
What's the question again?
Have you ever seen Mr. Depp be violent when angry with Ms. Heard?
No. Well, from what I said from before, there was an argument that I walked in, So there's that, but have I ever seen him be violent to her with physicality? No. Start again.
Yes, let's go back to, you testified that you observed an argument between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. Do you recall that? You came into the room, Mr. Depp had Amber on speakerphone. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Depp was drunk. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you recall that Amber was actually in London, not New York?
No.
You don't recall that?
No, I thought I thought it was she was in New York.
Okay. And you recall that Mr. Depp was accusing Amber of sleeping with somebody, right?
There was somebody else in the room with her, and that's what they were arguing about.
Are you sure that Mr. Depp wasn't thinking there was someone in the room and she was trying to tell him there wasn't somebody in the room?
He, say that again?
Are you sure he wasn't saying someone was in the room and she was trying to convince him there wasn't anybody in the room?
Well, he said that he heard the other voice.
Okay, and did you hear the voice?
Oh, no. I
Okay.
walked in there already, this is already in motion.
Right, and Amber's saying, why are you saying that, right?
Amber was saying, "Come on, baby, why are you being like this? What are you doing? Come on, Johnny. There's no need. Why are you being like this?"
Right.
And it was taunting.
How is it taunting to say, why are you accusing me of having somebody in my room?
Because they were in the midst of no solution. At that point, it would be if instead of taunting, saying, "Listen, John, let's talk tomorrow, and let's end this conversation right now, and we'll talk tomorrow, and we'll get to an understanding." Because there's not going to be any solution right now. But there was none of that. It was just continuous, "Oh, baby, oh, baby."
So
And that kept it going.
if Mr. Depp, in his drunken state, was suffering from delusions and thought he heard a voice and wasn't, do you think it would have been reasonable for Amber to be saying, what's going on? Why are you saying this? What's going on?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
I'll allow the question if you can answer it. You can answer the question, sir, if you.
Would I think it would be what?
If Mr. Depp was suffering from delusions and there wasn't anybody in the room and he hadn't heard a voice but thinks he's hearing a voice, would it be reasonable for Amber to be trying to figure out what's going on?
Objection, Your Honor. Hypothetical speculation.
I'll sustain as a speculation to that question.
And the bottom line is, you came in on the call, so you don't know what he said first or whether there was any voices, correct?
Whether he heard voices?
Yes.
Besides hers?
Yes.
No, I didn't hear the beginning of the
Okay.
conversation.
And then after the hang-up, he went straight to bed, right?
No, after the first hang-up,
Yeah.
she calls back again, which was it necessary? I don't know.
Do
And
you
then
know
a third
whether she
time,
knew? Do you know whether she knew whether he accidentally hung up or not?
that he accidentally hung up?
Right. Do you know whether she knew whether he hung up intentionally or
No,
accidentally?
the same way that I wouldn't know if, she didn't know that the telephone line got cut.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the 3 calls that you testified about, he went straight to bed, right?
Went to the couch and laid down.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was drunk.
Yeah, and he went to sleep. Yeah, he went out.
Do you know whether he'd taken any drugs that night?
No.
Now, you have known, you've already testified, you've known him for 42 years.
Yeah.
You didn't pay rent at the penthouse, correct?
No one did.
Right. Okay. And then after you finished at the penthouse, you went over and lived with him in Sweetser, correct?
I live in one of his house that he owns on Sweetser.
And you still live there?
Yes.
And rent-free, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And has, other than the 100,000, you never paid that back, right? The 100,000 that he's given you?
No, that's a thing that's a thing for me when how I look at it and stuff. At some point, I would love to pay back that money, but that's not something that is expected. He's expecting.
Would you say
So-
you're kind of beholden to Mr. Depp?
No, I'm not beholden at all.
He's given you $100,000. He's put you
Over
in
a
that
period
nice.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear the whole question. Can you say it again?
You were rent-free in penthouses for a number of years, and now you've been rent-free ever since in Sweetser?
That's a nice friend.
Yeah, okay. And I think you testified already, you're pretty angry with Ms. Heard, right?
When?
I wrote it down that you
Oh,
were.
about the phony pictures that were taken and put in tabloids, and about the fake narrative, and about and the way she's trying to got a fraudulent DV claim to extort and blackmail a man. Yeah, that kind of got me
Pretty angry with it.
frustrated, confused, angry, upset. Yes, which is why I said the best thing for us to do is not to talk to each other.
Okay.
Yes.
And was it fair to say you're still angry with her?
Oh, you know something? It's 6 years.
But
It's
we just heard you
6
give your
years.
version.
Am I angry anymore? I'm not, what I am is tired, and I want this all to end. Her to go heal, him to go heal. So many people have been affected by this malicious lie that she started and she created, and it's gone out the door and around the world. And so I can't even paint anymore. I've stopped painting for the last who knows how many years, and that's affected by stuff. I'm not angry at anybody. I want the best for her to take her responsibility, heal, and move on. And for Johnny, his family has been completely wrecked by all of this stuff, and it's not fair. It's not right what she did and what happened for so many people to get affected from this. It's insane.
And Mr. Baruch?
How this happened.
And Mr. Baruch, if in fact she's telling the truth, and if in fact Mr. Depp, who has engaged in enormous rage and domestic abuse and violence of Amber over a period of time that you wouldn't know about, then maybe it's time for him to take responsibility, don't you think?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Speculation, lack of foundation, relevance.
Speculations.
All right, does this refresh your recollection that Mr. Depp referred to Amber Heard as a cunt, and in fact, cunt's rotting corpse is decomposing?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection if you could rephrase.
I'll ask it differently. Do you recall Mr. Depp ever telling you that he, in base terms, hoped that Amber's rotting corpse is decomposing
Objection,
in
Your
the
Honor.
trunk of a Honda Civic?
I'll allow it.
I'm not understanding the question. Say it again.
Do you recall Mr. Depp ever telling you that he hoped that Amber Heard's rotting corpse is decomposing in the fucking trunk of a Honda Civic?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
You can answer the question, sir.
Yeah, I say, yeah, I'm seeing it here, so obviously, yeah, it was said,
Okay.
it was written.
And then go to 59, please. And when you had to move out of the penthouse to go to Sweetser, do you recall Mr. Depp telling you that this was Amber's fault and referring to her as a cunt?
Can I read this
Yes,
thing
please.
first, so that
Yes,
way I
please.
see what's going on? So now, I've just read this, and I understand. I remember this exactly because this is the period of time. I'm moving, and that he's selling the apartments, and there's people who are coming over. I'm still living there, and it would have been better off if I moved out, so that way then the real estate people can look at it and not come in and look at the kind of paintings that I make and all that kind of crap.
But my question to you is, do you recall Mr. Depp calling Amber Heard a cunt and saying that it was her fault?
Well, it's written there, so yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
So well, I don't. That's not what he says. He says that cunt ruined such a fucking cool life we had for a while. I don't know. That's
And
not.
he says, I can't even look at the building anymore, correct?
Right. I can't even
Right.
look at the
And
building
he's selling
anymore.
it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.